Well, many have questioned big tech's relationship with China for a while now, but surprisingly, the topic wasn't brought up until 3 hours into the antitrust hearing on Capitol Hill yesterday with tech's biggest companies. Congressman Kim Buck was the first to press Google CEO Sundar Pichai about it. Take a listen.
We wonder what values Google and communist Red China had in common. I asked myself, is it that the Chinese Communist Party imprisons Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps, like it is shown on the chart behind me? Could it be that China forces slaves to work in sweatshops? Maybe they align on the design to suppress free speech in Hong Kong. Did Google agree with CCP's decision to lie to the world about the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, to talk about it, let's bring in the man himself, Congressman Kim Buck from Colorado, whose book, Capital of Freedom, Restoring American Greatness, is coming out next week. Congressman, thanks for being with us. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Hey, Congressman, let me ask you this. How many people are on that committee?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I suppose I should have an exact number. I'm guessing about
more
30.
than 10? More than 10?
More than 10, yeah.
Okay. And how many people went before you spoke, roughly? 5, 10, 15?
Yeah, probably 8 people.
8 people. I think viewers need to understand this. 8 members of Congress spoke before you, and Congressman Ken Buck is the first one to bring up the most important issue. Congressman, I know this sounds like a tough question, but why are you the only one who cares about the most important issue going on right now? The Chinese government, the Communist Party of China, is trying to infiltrate our tech and take away our security. And you, sir, are the only one standing up for us.
Well, I appreciate your vote, first of all, but I have to tell you, to me, it is such an important issue, and Matt Gaetz covered it later, and some other people covered it later. But I think that what these giants of industry miss is that without the freedoms we enjoy in this country, without their freedom to succeed, without their freedom to compete, they would not be in the position they're in, and they should not do anything that minimizes the startup companies that were in a similar position that they were 20, 30 years ago. And that's what they're doing. They're taking this playbook from communist China, and they're absolutely creating an anti-competitive atmosphere where they are discriminating against really great Americans who are trying to start companies.
Congressman, we kind of saw some of these CEOs swirl around questions, not answer them directly. Do you feel like you got what you needed out of this hearing yesterday?
I think the American people can see right through some of those answers, and it's so unfortunate that the CEOs, and I have no doubt that they were the smartest people in the virtual room. But the bottom line is, I think America got a very good, clear understanding that these are amoral individuals that care more about profit than they do about American security. They care more about profit than they do about allowing innovation in this country. And frankly, I think that Americans are tired of the power that we have yielded to these executives.
It's interesting. I wonder whether strategically, Lindsay and I were talking about this prior to the show, by having all of them there, whether strategically that was the right way to go, meaning that they kind of could swirl around the issues and not have to face sort of sustained grilling one at a time. Do you think strategically that was a mistake by the committee chair, the Democrat?
I don't. I think that actually I would have added Jack Dorsey to the list, because I think they all looked so similar. I think they all had such similar answers. I think they all tried to weasel out of tough questions, and to do it several weeks apart, to spread them out, would have really minimized the impact of seeing just what kind of competitive disadvantages these folks place other companies, and the tactics that these companies use.
Interesting.
Congressman, you've got, obviously this was the big issue on the Hill, but you've also really addressed in your forthcoming book this whole issue of progressivism writ large. Why did you write the book now? What do you think the biggest takeaway is that people need to understand?
So, Sean, I give tours of the Capitol in the evening, and I talk about the great Constitution constitutional principles that are symbolized in our United States Capitol. And I think that one of the movements that's going on at this point in time in our history is to try to deny our history, to try to cancel our culture. And it is so important for Americans to understand what made us great and why we need to make sure that before we move on, before we amend our Constitution, we do it in a thorough and thoughtful way. And this book really, chapter by chapter, talks about the Second Amendment and religious freedom, so many issues that are important to Americans.
Congressman,
that's great.
Thanks so much for being here. And again, congratulations on the new book.
Thank you.
All right. Well, still to come, we're continuing our conversation surrounding the big tech hearing and if anything can actually be done to stop their monopoly of power. Plus, this week's Battleground 2020 series takes us to Wisconsin. What does the president need to do to win that state? That's right after the break.